Good afternoon and welcome to the FEMA Region 2 Individual and Community Preparedness webinar series. My name is Allison Albright and I'm the Regional Preparedness Liaison for FEMA Region 2. I'm going to provide a few technical considerations before we begin. Today's proceedings are being recorded and captioned. The archived event will be available on the FEMA website in the coming weeks. You should hear audio through your computer speakers, so please ensure that your volume is turned up so you may hear the proceedings accordingly. In the top right corner, we ask if you'd like to receive news and updates from Region 2. If so, please enter your email address and we'll be sure to add you to the distribution list. We will have a question and answer session after the presentation concludes. You'll see a Q&A pod in the lower right-hand corner. Please feel free to submit your questions about the subject matter there, and time permitting, we'll do our best to answer them. Finally, the PowerPoint presentation from today will be available for you to download in the file share pod as a PDF. You can click on the file and download it using the download button. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Bijal Patel, Preparedness Specialist of FEMA Region 2, to introduce our speaker and today's proceedings.
Good afternoon, everyone. Did you know that FEMA's #1 goal in our strategic plan is to build a culture of preparedness? So the Region 2 Individual and Community Preparedness Program is focused on preparing individuals and communities for disasters by providing useful information and training, inspiring people to act and be ready for any emergency. My name is Bijal Patel. I'm the Preparedness Specialist with FEMA Region 2. On behalf of our team working to strengthen preparedness across New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar series today. So I'm pleased to be hosting today's webinar on preparing for the 2021 tax filing season. We have speakers from the Internal Revenue Service who will discuss important tips for filing taxes this year, along with information on the economic impact payments and the Taxpayer Advocate Service. We also have a speaker from the Federal Trade Commission who will discuss how to identify and avoid common scams during tax season, such as tax identity theft and calls from government imposters. Our first speaker today is Brenda Luke. She's an IRS veteran with 42 years of experience. As the Senior Stakeholder Liaison, Brenda participates, coordinates, and shares key messages from the IRS through outreach. In addition, Brenda is the New York lead for the multicultural community. Brenda has received several awards and recognition for her dedication and community service from congressional offices, community-based organizations, and various professional organizations. Our next speaker, Betsy Bailey, began her IRS career in 1998 as a customer service representative. She has also worked as the tax compliance officer. She joined the Brooklyn Taxpayer Advocate Service in 2011 as a lead case advocate and has been the group manager since 2017. Robin Eichen has been an attorney with the Federal Trade Commission's Northeast region since December 1990, where she has litigated numerous consumer protection cases, including those involving deceptive advertising, work-at-home scams, business coaching scams, telemarketing fraud, internet fraud, and deceptive debt collection. In September 2003, she received the Director's Award in recognition of her contribution to the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Thank you to our speakers today, and I'll hand it over to Brenda to begin.
Thank you so much. My name is Senior Stakeholder Liaison Brenda Luke. I am with the Internal Revenue Service, and thank you so much for inviting us to speak. But before I start to go into my presentation about the economic impact payment and the recovery rebate credit, I'd like to introduce my manager, Georgia Thomas, who represents various states, and we're happy to share this information with you. Georgia?
Good afternoon or morning for some of you. Brenda, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, FEMA, for inviting us to partner with you today and make presentations to you relative to the economic impact payment and the recovery rebate payment. The Stakeholder Liaison Organization is located across the United States, and Brenda and I represent Area 4, which encompasses the states of Texas, Florida, Georgia, South and North Carolina, and then New York. And we want to make sure that in addition to talking about the credits today that everyone is aware that the IRS is really emphasizing that you don't delay in filing your tax returns. The filing season officially opens on February the 12th. We'd like for as many as possible to use e-file or pre-file in some capacity because it allows you to receive your money quicker, and it's more efficient in terms of identifying any errors up front, so you have a more smoother process in submitting your tax information. And then we also are emphasizing the earned income tax credit for those who can take advantage of that credit, and the fact that you have options this year as to which tax base you're going to use, 2019 or 2020. And then lastly, for anybody who may have received unemployment benefits, please make sure that you report that income as it is taxable and needs to be reported. So without further ado, Brenda, I'll turn it back over to you. I don't want to take up all of your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this morning we're going to talk about the economic impact payment and the recovery rebate credit. And I'm sure everyone is aware of it by now, that this came as a result of the CARES Act, this original economic impact payment. But today, as listed here, the topics that we're going to discuss is the first economic impact payment, the second economic impact payment, which came out as of December, which got approved December 27th. We're going to also talk about Notice 1444 and Notice 1444B, the recovery rebate credit, and how we utilize the different portals that IRS has. And that way you're able to look up your payment amount and also the Get Payment tool. So to begin, last year as of March, the CARES Act went into effect, which brought about the first economic impact payment, which was a payment of $1,200 for eligible individuals. And this would be $2,400 if individuals were married. And they also were able to claim their children if they were under the age of 16, which they would obtain $500 for each qualifying child. Again, this was the first economic impact payment that went into place. And also, if they filed 2018 and 2019 tax return, this would be children under the age of 17. Okay, so we're going to, and also this would take into effect if a person, if they were married and their eligible income would be $150,000, that would be filing a joint tax return, and $112,500 if they were filing as head of household. And if a person was single, it was $75,000. And again, as it states, it was reduced by 5% of the amount by your adjusted gross income if it was over that amount. So these were some of the qualifications that individuals would receive, make them eligible to receive the economic impact payment. Now, again, we're talking about they would likely receive these payments. These were the qualifications. If you were a U.S. citizen or a resident alien, or you had a workable Social Security number that was valid for employment and that was issued before 2019 or 2019. And also, one of the large factors were that you could not be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. So these were the qualifications that made you eligible for the first round of the economic impact payment. Now, we're talking about who is not eligible. Well, Not eligible for the first or second round was non-resident alien, estates and trusts, or individuals who could be claimed as a dependent on someone else's return. Eligibility was considered based on the return used for determination. This would be referring to the 2019 and 2018 tax return. So these listed here would be individuals that were not eligible for this economic impact payment. Also, the economic impact payment was made to someone who died before receiving the payment. It should be returned to the IRS. This would be in Topic 1 of the Economic Impact Payment Information Center. And we would provide instructions. So individuals that were paid prior to receiving the payment, or individuals that, let's say, for example, who died before receiving the payment, the check should be returned to the IRS. And if you go to our website, we have frequently asked questions that have come up as a result of the economic impact payment. We list the address and the method in which you would return the check. So this recovery rebate credit may be claimed for individuals who died in 2020 or 2021 when filing the decedent tax return. So these are some of the changes that came about, and these are some of the qualifications. Now, we talk about individuals filing a tax return using an I-10. Well, an I-10 basically is for individuals that are not eligible to receive a Social Security number. So in reference to individuals filing a tax return using an I-10 that did not receive an economic impact payment are not eligible for the recovery rebate credit even if they have a qualifying child. Now, joint filers filing a tax return using two I-10s also, that did not receive the economic impact payment are not eligible as well for the recovery rebate credit, even if they have a qualifying child. Taxpayers, again, with I-10, joint filers who filed a tax return using one Social Security number and one I-10 may have received the second economic impact payment, but not the first, unless one spouse was an active military. So with the first economic impact payment, if one of the spouse was an active military and the other spouse had an I-10, that made him eligible. But some changes came about with the second economic impact payment. Now, joint filers filing a 2020 tax return using one social and one I-10 may claim a recovery rebate credit for one spouse and for each qualifying child. This would be on the 2020 tax return with a valid social or an IRS adoption taxpayer identification number. So this, again, is some of the changes. So there was a little difference between the first economic impact payment and the second one. The deadline for incarcerated individuals to file a simplified tax return was November 4th, 2020. Also, if they did not receive both economic impact payment, they had to file a 2020 return to claim the recovery rebate credit. Also, individuals were not denied an economic impact payment solely because they were incarcerated. So that's one thing we wanted to note. Because someone was incarcerated, we did not deny the credit. However, they would have to claim this credit on their 2020 tax return on line 30. That allows individuals to claim the credit, those that have not received the credit that are still eligible. But we'll go more into that a little bit later. The first economic impact payment was an offset when the individuals owed past due child support. Now, the second economic impact payment was not an offset for any federal or state debts. In addition, the second economic impact payment may be protected from some garnishment orders. That is, again, a difference. Now, taxpayers with direct deposit information on file receive the payment that way. Also, for those without current direct deposit information on file, they generally, again, I say generally, they would receive the payment as a check or a debit card in the mail. For those who do not receive this payment for any reason, again, as we discussed, they can claim this on their 2020 tax return, which they would file here this year in 2021. So people would want to be on the lookout in terms of their receiving their check or their direct debit by envelope, because in the past, several people thought that the check or I would say the direct debit card was just advertisement for a credit card. So we would want to be on the lookout, or also if we're out in the community helping individuals, make them aware so that the check or the direct debit card they would not destroy it, because then it would have to, again, address that. So that could cause a delay. But one of the things that we want to emphasize, because someone may not have received their direct debit card or their check for either the first economic impact payment or the second one, there is still time and there is still a process in place for them to receive that credit. Now, payments were issued automatically. This would be to eligible taxpayers who filed a 2019 tax return. Eligible individuals who provided their information through the non-filer tool, they would enter their information on irs.gov. That gave them the opportunity to update their information. And eligible individuals who receive benefits from Social Security and also the Veteran Affairs, they automatically received it in the process. IRS worked with those agencies to actually have their checks or their funds automatically processed. Today, approximately 8 million second payments were sent out by a prepaid debit card. And we were able to use this portal called Get My Payment tool, which was on irs.gov, which shows the date that a payment was mailed. The individuals should watch out for the mail to make sure that they would receive it. That way, if they did not receive it after a while, they knew something went wrong. However, all this information that I'm discussing about the economic impact payment, we can find if you go to www.eipcard.com, which would be on IRS website. Now, some payments were sent to a temporary account that is closed, and IRS will reissue these payments for taxpayers who did not receive the second economic impact payment because the temporary bank accounts were identified and our records were closed. This first payment, notice 11444, was mailed about 2 weeks after the first economic impact payment was sent. So those of us, or those individuals that received the $1,200 or the $2,400 or the $500 per child during the first economic impact payment, you would have received a letter or notice 1444, which would tell you and confirm the amount of receipt. Now, with the second round of payments, you would receive notice 1444B for each recipient. So it is important that you keep those documents. You want to save them because the IRS cannot reissue these documents. So it is important for you to keep them. The economic payments are not a part of your gross income, and payments will also not reflect an individual's income from purpose of determining eligibility for other government assistance. Payments do not need to be paid back. based on the information received. So these are free payments that IRS is delivering to help individuals during this pandemic time period. So again, this is information about the recovery payment, and anyone who received this full payment for both the economic impact payment do not to include this information about the advance payments when they file their tax return. They already received the full amount. So if you've already received the full amount, you do not have to go forward with putting anything or indicating anything on line 30 of the tax return. This would take into account individuals or eligibility of people who did not receive the full amount of both economic impact payments. We strongly, as Georgia said previously, we recommend e-file is the best way to file your tax return. Because this year, for the first time, we're able to go back and amend a tax return using a 1040X. So if you file the return, we encourage you to e-file. That way, if there's any changes, we can actually make the change using a 1040X. Children born or accepted or placed into foster care, college students who were claimed as a dependent on their parents' return in 2018 and 2019. So those individuals now can actually claim the credit because they're filing their own return in 2020. This recovery rebate credit has also a worksheet. You would want to use this worksheet if you're filing a paper return or if you're filing electronic tax software. So the worksheet is applicable that you can utilize prior to you actually indicating it on line 30. Online account shows individual taxpayers access to about a lot of IRS accounts. And if you go to irs.gov, the home page, you want to view your account. We have friendly URLs in order to help individuals manage their account with IRS. Taxpayers, they need to register for these online accounts, and we have information that's applicable that would show you, it would list how you would, information you would need to. So to register for the first time, you would need your Social Security number, the date of birth, the filing status, the mailing address, the specific bank information that you want to use, such as a credit card, your address, and you have to be able to text in order to actually put the user's name and telephone number. So prior to starting the registration, you want to secure how to register or certain online documents. You want to go to www.irs.gov secure access. So as a part of this security process to authenticate taxpayers, the IRS will send verification to activate your email or text. So the IRS really advises taxpayers that it will not initiate contact via text or email asking for login. So we will not do that. That way you're able to view your account. That way you're able to keep copies or your balances for the year with IRS. So we have various tools that you can utilize, which is my Get My Payment, if you need to also change banking information. I would also say if you're not filing a current return, that you should always make sure that IRS has your current address or your current information. However, once you file the tax return, we're going to go by what you have on your tax return as the address. And in preparing also a return, it's going to give you also the option if you want to have the check mailed or you want banking information. You want to make sure that we have the current banking information to keep up to, with information, because whatever correspondence that we have, we're going to send it to that address. One good thing for this filing season is IRS has, this is the first year that we're able to send out notices in up to 20 different languages. And you're able to make a determination on how or what language that you would want to receive notices. So this is one of the first things that IRS has done, and we're very proud of that. And also, this is the first year also that we have the 1040 in Spanish. So these are some of the highlights that we're able to share with you today. Again, I'd like to tell you to please check the Get My Payment tool. All the information is on irs.gov. That it talks about this Get Payment tool. Again, like we talked about, it will tell you when the payments went out. You want to watch out also for scams that are related to the economic impact payment. You want to keep in that mind that IRS will not send emails or text messages asking for people to open the attachment or visit a website or share personal financial data. There are some scams that use emails or phone calls, and we have a telephone number or email, I would say, that you can report this to IRS. That way someone would be able to look into this. You want to go to phishing, which would phishing spelt PHISHING at irs.gov. And that way they can look into these false accounts or these scams. Again, our information is on the website, and it has information about the CARES Act and also about the economic impact payment. And we have information that we would like for our partners to share. We have promotional material. As listeners and also as partners, please share our information with the people that you come in contact with, because a lot of them, you yourself are there with them, more so than we are. So you know how best to get the information out to the public so that they're not scammed. There are scammers that will tell people that they will help them to get the economic impact payment faster, but please do not fall victim to this. I know my co-agency will talk more about some of the scams, but from IRS, again, there is a process that we have in place for you to get the information. I have included also my information. My name is Brenda E. Stewart Luke. My telephone number is 212-436-1027. And also what we've attached is we'll send out is information about how IRS, this is preparedness. We have publications on IRS also that talks about how you can prepare before disaster, because really this is before disaster, because some of the things, just like Georgia brought out about the unemployment. A lot of individuals received unemployment going forward from March until now. All that information is taxable, and it can be a disaster if you're not aware that you needed to have federal taxes withheld. So we have information that we would like to share, perhaps that you can get it out to the community about how people, if you're receiving unemployment, that you should be paying taxes on that. And also we have publications that you can actually, if you're a business or small business, in the event that there is a disaster or preparing prior to a disaster, there's publications that we have where you can actually list the things that are in your home. In the event that there is a disaster, you already have information available that you can capture, like if something is, if there is a disaster, that you can list the things, items in your home, you can list the items in your business, that you'll be pre-prepared in the event that something happens. So again, this is information that we wanted to share today, and at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to my co-presenter from TAS. And at this point, I will turn it over to TAS, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and please make sure you file your taxes return. And if you do not have your tax return information available, please file an extension. It will extend your time to file until October 15th. Thank you so much. At this point, I will turn it over to Betsy.
Thanks, Brenda. My name is Versailles Bailey. I represent the Taxpayer Advocate Service, and I have here my supervisor, Mr. George Adjete.
Hi, thank you very much, Ms. Bailey and FEMA. Thank you for the invitation. I look forward to create a very strong outreach partnership with your organization, and We have a lot to offer, and for that reason, I really appreciate you calling us to come and be part of this event. I'm going to yield the floor to Ms. Bailey. You have a lot of information to share, and so Ms. Bailey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, George. The Taxpayer Advocate Service is your voice at the IRS. The Taxpayer Advocate Service is an independent organization within the IRS. It was set up in 1998 by Congress specifically to assist taxpayers who have an economic hardship, those who have not been able to resolve their issue through regular channels, and to identify systemic issues within the IRS. There's an office in every state, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. The National Taxpayer Advocate provides reports to Congress annually. The leadership of the Internal Revenue Service, Taxpayer Advocate Service, is Ms. Erin Collins, who is the National Taxpayer Advocate, and Ms. Bridget Roberts, who is our Deputy National Taxpayer Advocate. What does the Taxpayer Advocate Service do? We provide services to those who have lost their voice or those who find no way out of situations that they may find themselves in. What do? We protect taxpayers' rights by ensuring all taxpayers are treated fairly and that they know and understand their rights under the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. We help individuals, businesses, and exempt organizations where a system or procedure has either failed to operate as intended or efforts have failed to resolve the problem within the IRS. If you qualify for help, your advocate will be with you at every turn and do everything possible to assist you. TAS is your voice at the IRS. This service is completely free. A lot of the times we have taxpayers in the community, they don't know who to turn to, and they may end up bouncing around from one unscrupulous preparer to another unscrupulous preparer. So we want to get the voice out there that Taxpayer Advocate is out there, and we are in every state, and that the services provided are free. So these taxpayers should not be going to unscrupulous preparers or even people in the community who are charging them for services that the IRS provides to them free of charge. So please help us disseminate and get the voice out that if taxpayers have problems, they should be contacting the IRS directly, or if they're not getting anywhere with the IRS, to contact the Taxpayer Advocate Service, and that the services are completely free. That's why we are the taxpayer's voice at the IRS. The Taxpayer Advocate also has systemic issues. So for people that are businesses, a system is not working as intended. We have the systemic management system, and these are to receive advocacy, issues, ideas, and suggestions. So taxpayers and practitioners, as well as academic research and professional organizations, can submit issues that impact multiple individuals or businesses at irs.gov, .sans, and as Brenda said, all our websites are user-friendly. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights is there to protect the taxpayers, and that is the reason why we're here. We're here to protect taxpayers' rights. So please, as I keep reiterating, help us to disseminate the voice out there that the Taxpayer Advocate is out there to assist taxpayers. So how do you contact the Taxpayer Advocate? You can contact us through the website at Taxpayer Advocate, irs.gov, or you could call your local Taxpayer Advocate. As I said earlier, there's one in every state, or you could actually call the NTA hotline at 877-777-4778, or they may download Form 911, and it's appropriately named 911, because by the time the taxpayers get to the Taxpayer Advocate Service, normally they're frustrated. They run into a wall. They have no one else to turn to. So the Taxpayer Advocate, we are the taxpayer's voice at the IRS, and it's the emergency room of the IRS, because by the time the clients normally get to us, they have dealt with other functions within the IRS, they're not getting anywhere. and that's what we're here for. We're here to serve the low-income communities, the limited English proficiency communities, and we understand that in these difficult times that we're living in with the pandemic, a lot of people may have been displaced and they may have been audited and can't get the documents that IRS is requesting from them. So we will work with them with alternative documentation, so not the traditional documents that IRS asks for. So if they have to prove their dependents, we may take 2 or 3 documents, not the traditional birth certificate. They may be able to get a certificate from a church, community organization, someone that knows them, different documents to piece the information, or the taxpayer may have gotten audited and they need to prove that they had a household. But during the year, they moved and lived in more than one location. So we may need the lease from the different locations, a letter from the landlord. We are here to think outside of the box. We're here to think outside of the box and provide the taxpayer with that extra incentive that they need. Once they call us, they'll get a case advocate assigned to them who custom tailors the approach to resolving the issue to the taxpayer's specific needs. So it's not a one-stop approach where everyone gets treated the same way. We work directly with whatever issue the taxpayer may have with the IRS. Other tax programs that we have also are the low-income clinics, and the low-income taxpayer clinics represent low-income taxpayers who have a controversy with the IRS, including taxpayers who the LITC, they also provide services to English as a second language. So the LITC is free, or they have a nominal fee, and we also have a website for them, which is Taxpayer Advocate, IRS.gov, LITC map. So you have those options also where they need services from attorneys, and the cases may or may not be more serious, or the taxpayers are just not getting anywhere. They have that resource also available. Other programs, we have the TAP program, and it's an independent panel of citizen volunteers. So now I'm going to cover with you guys our priority issues for the fiscal year. We're implementing the WebEx pilot, and TASK continues to explore ways to improve the customer experience, communication, engagement, and advocacy opportunity for taxpayers. TASK is currently developing a pilot program using WebEx for virtual face-to-face meetings between case advocates and taxpayers. This pilot is not meant to replace in-person or telephone conference options. Rather, it adds a digital option to communicate with taxpayers. So we are aware that we cannot get everyone through traditional methods sometimes. Our business hours are 8 to 4:30, but sometimes taxpayers may need services outside of those hours. So that's why the digital implementation is also there for issues that the taxpayers may be facing. So we're forward thinking and thinking forward in other ways to advocate for our taxpayers. So the WebEx pilot will enable taxpayers to use their phones, tablets, or computers to communicate with case advocates who can access the applications from their home computers, from their work computers. A WebEx video conference allows taxpayers to see and hear taxpayers and share documents. WebEx has many features, but the planned pilot will only use the video conferencing, document viewing, and chat features. So that's also the items that IRS and Taxpayer Advocate is looking at to as further assist our taxpayers. We also have the TASK Mobile Outreach Van, and this is a cost-effective manner to get in remote communities where the media office may not be located, but to make sure that we are able to get to everyone that needs our services. We normally conduct problem-solving days throughout the year, and these events offer services to targeted audiences with an emphasis on military and veterans, earned income tax credit recipients, and taxpayers with English as a second language. So these are our priority issues for this fiscal year, and always evaluating where we may need an office. So even though we have locations in every state, Taxpayer Advocate is always evaluating where we may be best utilized, and they're also looking into those items. If you want to know more about TAS, we have the website, Taxpayer Advocate, irs.gov. We have the NCA blog, and you can always follow us on social media. And this concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Brenda and Betsy. If you have any questions for the IRS, you can type in your questions in the box below the chat box. And now we'll go to Robin from the FTC.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be with you all today. Thank you, FEMA, for inviting me to present today. I need to tell you that my remarks today are my own and not those of the Federal Trade Commission or any commissioner. So how at the Federal Trade Commission do we protect consumers? Well, in three main ways. One, we sue companies and individuals that defraud consumers, and that means take people's money and give them nothing in return, or steal their personal information. When we bring such lawsuits, we ask the courts to freeze the assets of both the individuals and the companies that are responsible for the fraud. That way, if we're successful at the end of the case, we're able to return money to victims. And the third way is we take reports of fraud on our Consumer Sentinel database. We use that database to share information with thousands of other law enforcers across the country, and we also use that information to bring new FTC lawsuits and develop new materials to protect consumers. And the third way is that we have lots of information on how to avoid fraud and identity theft. We have speakers like myself, we have written materials, and we have lots of interactive materials and videos, and I'm going to talk about that later. So what do you tell consumers that have lost a lot of money to scams? Well, they should first talk to their payment provider before doing anything else. They should ask their payment provider, whether it be their credit card company, their bank, or any other way that they paid a scammer, and ask for their money to be returned. For example, if you paid by credit card, call your credit card company and ask them to reverse the charges. That's because you have legal protections against unauthorized charges on credit cards, debit cards, and bank accounts. But you really have to act quickly to contest those charges. Now, if you wired money to a scammer through Western Union or MoneyGram, you should also call them as quickly as possible. It may be harder to get the money back that way, but the FTC has brought lawsuits against both companies and has returned money to victims that paid through Western Union or MoneyGram. And then if you put money on a prepaid or gift card like iTunes, Google, Amazon, or Green Dot, you should get in touch with the gift card company right away. Now, there's no guarantee you'll get your money back if you paid via a gift card, but you should still try to alert the payment system. And the FTC has been working with gift card companies to signal them that their payment methods have been used for fraud. Then we ask if the consumer was defrauded to report fraud to the FTC. That's a link in English and in Spanish, reportfraud.ftc.gov. Now, at the FTC, we've seen economic impact payment scams. New ones have been coming. Scammers know about the new economic impact payments that are coming because they follow the headlines. This is really awful because they're taking money from the neediest and most vulnerable consumers. And we've seen scams like this ever since the CARES Act was passed last year. So here's what you need to know. If someone calls or emails you out of the blue claiming there's money available from a government agency, but you have to make an upfront payment or give them some personal or financial information, hang up the phone. The government won't ask you to pay to get help or ask you for any sensitive information. Scammers are trying to take advantage of the uncertainty in this pandemic. So ignore anyone who calls, texts, or emails to help you, so-called. And I want you to note that in the past, nursing homes have wrongfully appropriated payments under the CARES Act meant for seniors. Even seniors on Medicaid, are entitled to that money and not the nursing home. Now, this is our infographic on how to avoid coronavirus relief payment scams. Don't respond to calls, texts, or emails about money from the government. Government agencies are not going to contact us that way. And don't pay anyone to get a relief payment. There are no fees to get your money. Don't respond to anyone who asks you to repay money by cash, wire, or gift card. Paying that way, it's always a scam. And don't click on links or attachments in emails, text, or on social media about your relief payment. Instead, go to irs.gov/coronavirus for accurate information. And you may have heard about a lot of unemployment insurance fraud in California last year. So many people have filed for unemployment insurance benefits during this pandemic. Scammers know that and have filed numerous claims in someone else's name. So what do you do if this is a fraud on your account? If possible, report the fraud online to your state unemployment office. An online report will save you time and make it easier for the agency to process. But be sure to keep any confirmation or case number you get. And if you speak with anyone, keep a record of who you spoke with and when. The FTC's dedicated website for identity theft is identitytheft.gov, and it will help you get a free extended fraud alert or a credit freeze to your credit report. These remedies make it more difficult for an identity thief to open new accounts in your name. And it's important to review your credit reports often. Through April of this year, you can check your credit reports every week for free through annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com is the only free site to get your credit reports. And getting your credit reports may help you spot any new fraud quickly. Now, if you get unemployment insurance benefits you never applied for, make sure to report it to your state unemployment insurance agency and ask for instructions. By the way, I was going to mention that later, but this week is Identity Theft Awareness Week at the FTC. So here, this infographic shows our resources to help consumers deal with the financial impact of the pandemic. All these links have helpful hints for consumers. We also have some resources if your small business is affected. Well, Social Security Administration imposters are more active than ever, and they've surpassed the IRS impersonators. These imposters say your Social Security number has been suspended because of suspicious activity or because it's been involved in a crime. They ask you to confirm your Social Security number, or they may say you need to withdraw money from the bank and store it on gift cards or some other unusual way for, quote, safekeeping. They may tell people their accounts will be seized or frozen if they don't act quickly. So what do you tell consumers? It's a scam. Their Social Security number is not about to be suspended, and their bank account is not about to be seized. And the real Social Security will never call to ask you to wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards. Don't believe the numbers on your caller IDs. Scammers can easily fake those, and scammers have been putting real Social Security Administration's numbers on people's caller IDs. Now, Medicare fraud has also been active. The current providers are offering a test or service or supply that you don't need or wasn't ordered by your provider. And what they're trying to do is to get your Medicare card number. The most active current scams we've seen involving Medicare are coronavirus tests, remedies, and vaccines, genetic testing, back braces, and if you're contacted by a Medicare scammer, call 1-800-MEDICARE. The tech support scams have been active too. I got such a scam on our personal computer. Fortunately, we did what we had to do, which was turn off the computer. This is an imposter scam that's especially victimized a lot of older adults. Scammers pretend to call from or be affiliated with a known company like Microsoft. They try to scare consumers about their computer security. Often they want to get access to somebody's computer, but don't ever do it. And they also may try to sell software or services to, quote, fix security problems. Those are often problems that don't even exist. Another scam that's particularly victimized older consumers is the family emergency scam. It goes like, Grandpa, I need money for bail. Don't tell Mom. Here the scammers pretend to be someone that the consumer knows, like a family member, and they need the money right away. Urgency is a hallmark of such scams. Their goal is to get the person to send money before they even realize it's a scam. And the scammers use information from social networking sites or they hack into a loved one's account to make their scam seem even more real. But if a consumer talks to even one person, they may avoid being scammed. By the way, a note about robocalls. Oh, wait, I'll be talking about that next. Gift card scams. Gift cards are for gifts and not for payments. Scammers use them to steal money from people because gift cards are like cash. We have a new campaign at the FTC to stop gift card payments to fraudsters. If you're a victim of a scam and paid by gift card, you should tell the gift card company right away and ask for your money to be refunded. That may not necessarily happen, but at least the FTC is working with gift card companies to stop them from enabling fraudsters to take people's money. Robocalls. Now that we're working from home, we've seen lots more robocalls. Scammers are adapting their scams to the coronavirus business, offering fake cures, prevention solutions, test kits, access to test kits, etc. And they're also targeting Medicare recipients. We've also seen some Social Security Administration scams relating to the coronavirus, as well as mortgage and student loan debt relief scams. So what do? Hang up on illegal robocallers, block the number, and report the call to the FTC. And an additional note on robocalls, don't press any numbers, because instead of getting on their do not call list, it'll lead to more robocalls. Identity theft. I talked about identity thieves stealing people's unemployment insurance benefits and using personal information of people who didn't file claims. As I said, this is Identity Theft Awareness Week, and we have presentations all week on identity theft. At the FTC, we have information on how to avoid identity theft and what to do if it happens. Go to identitytheft.gov. Here are some examples of how identity theft can happen. Someone may get credit in your name, opening a new credit card, or a utility account. This can lead to serious issues like stress, legal issues, and time and money that it takes to recover. A word about tax identity theft. It's mainly when someone files a fraudulent tax return and using someone else's Social Security number. They're usually trying to get a refund in someone else's name. All they need is your Social Security security number, which may be accessible on the dark web. Then they can file for a refund. So when you try to get your refund,